What's up, y'all? If you got a box truck and you're tired of chasing cheap freight or wondering how to keep your wheels moving in the middle of a recession, I promise you that this live is for you. Okay? Tonight, I'm not just going to talk about government contracting, I'm about to pull up a real box truck bid. This box truck bid is currently live right now and can be bidded on right in front of you. I'm going to show you how easy this really is once you get to know what to look for. And I'm also going to help you find the actual bid so you can go after it yourself or subcontract out the work like I do. You don't need to have your authority. You don't need $1 million fleet. All you need is a strategy, guidance, and someone to show you the game like me. And that's exactly what I'm about to do for you. So grab a pen, tag a trucker, and stay locked in because I'm about to make this government money look real possible for you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right, keep in mind this trucking contract, this box truck contract is live right now. You can bid on it. The deadline is July 30th. So you got 31st, you got 29 days to bid on it. And I'm so excited to show you this. All right, so all right, do I have it pulled up? All right, here we go. And y'all know I'm so excited. I'm a little early because usually y'all know I clock in at 9. It's 8:22 and I'm ready to go. I was like, I can't wait to show them this. All right, let me share screen. All right, so where you're gonna find this bid? Let me check my audio real quick. Is a platform called New York State Contract Reporter.newyork.gov. Very easy, simple to create an account. All right. nyscr.ny.gov. And even if you don't live in New York State, you can still win this contract. It is winning bids Wednesday. And I am so excited to show you this bid. I really am because this can literally change your life. Let me just double check my audio. Okay. All right. And we're good to go. I just want to make sure. So, New York State Contract Reporter, right? You're going to log in. If you already have a login, that's fantastic. If not, um, you can create a simple account and be able to log in. Now, search open New York State CR ads. An ad on New York State Contract Reporter is a contract, right? So over here, if you type in transportation, all the contracts in New York State that are transportation are going to pop up. I did that right here in the left tab where it says enter search term. Okay. These are all your ones right here. Right. I wanted to show you that because someone was asking me how I was able to find this contract, right? These are all your transportation contracts. So what I did was I bookmarked it. You can bookmark an opportunity and it will save it to your kind of like your wallet or your file folder, if you will. You have opportunities, open opportunities, and then you can bookmark something to save it and come back. So this is the contract. I am so excited to show y'all this because box truck owners, lock in, pay attention. This bid is life changing. Okay. And if you want to keep your trucks moving and the wheels turning on the ground, you want to look at this contract. Okay. So it is in a county. The location is Poughkeepsie, New York, 12601. That's the county. And the counties that you're going to be servicing where your trucks are going to be moving are Columbia, Dutchess, Greene, Putnam, and Ulster. And all right, Mid Hudson Library System request for proposal. Now, request for proposal means you have to actually put the bid together. All right. If you don't know how to do that, go and look at the live video that I put together with the thumbnail, the bid that I lost. Go watch that video. It'll show you how to put a proposal together, right? This is for a delivery service, okay? So it went out June 30th. This is when the bid opened. Mid Hudson Library System, 103 Market Street, Poughkeepsie, New York, during the period of Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's when you're going to move those shipments. Okay, that's your window. And by email upon a confirmed receipt from MHLS, which is Mid Hudson Library System, of email. If you want to reach out to anyone, right here. This is the information that you need to reach out to the person or the contracting officer. So something is different about this contract, and it's this information right here. Vendors must submit a sealed envelope, 2 hard copies of their proposal to the library business office at this address by, the deadline is July 30th, 2025 at 1 p.m. So you have to mail this. Do not mail it on June 30th. It will not make it. I'm sorry, July 30th. If you wanted to make it, you need to deliver the 2 hard copies at least by July 25th. So keep that in mind. You have to shave 5 days off the deadline because they want hard copies. Usually, what you can do is submit an electronic proposal, but you cannot do that in this situation, which is why a lot of people are not going to bid. You have to go to the post office, you have to print documents, you have to put it in an envelope and ship it to this agency, right? That's going to make a lot of people not want to bid. But shave off 5 days for the deadline because you want to make sure it gets there by July 30th. Okay? You cannot submit an electronic bid here. So you have to put a proposal together, print the proposal out, put it in an envelope, manila envelope somewhere. Go to the dollar store, get a dollar pack of manila envelopes, 2 hard copies, ship it off. Okay? So that this proposal can make it to them on time. And follow directions, all right? Because we're going to go step by step. Any proposal to the RFP, you don't need to be veteran owned. They're not looking for any criteria there. They don't want MWBE. That's okay. Your due date is the 30th, but you're going to put the proposal together and go to USPS, the Postal Service, and ship it 5 days ahead of time just to make sure it gets there. Now, one thing I want to talk about that I absolutely love, this contract is 2 years worth of work. Your box trucks are going to be consistently moving for 2 years. That is fantastic, right? So when you win this bid, not if, when you win this bid, it is 2 years of work. January 1st, 2026 to 12/31/28. That is 2 years of consistent work. No one has won this contract previously. This is the first time it's coming out, okay? Contact info is here. I love that they have these little tabs: description, contact info, documents, updates, and then when someone is awarded, it'll be in this tab. So we're going to go to documents because we want to look at what they are requesting, right? We want to know what they need from us. Okay. Mid-Hudson Library System. This is their address. If you have a box truck company close to this state and city, that is fantastic. Okay, that's a way to keep your box trucks running, a way to keep them going. But if you don't, you can manage this project. Hire a box truck company and go from there. Okay, you can subcontract the work. You can manage the work as the prime, and then you can subcontract the work out to a box truck company that you trust, that you did your due diligence on, that you did your research on. You're not just going to pick any half-stepping box truck company, okay? Because when a contract has issues, the contracting officer comes to you, not the subcontractor, not the middleman. All right, so do your due diligence when you're looking for a subcontractor. All right, request for proposal. This RFP has 46 documents. We're on page 1. All right. Notice the contractors. Okay. Once again, read. Okay. So the movement you're going to be making, you're going to need dry box trucks, or if you have a reefer, which seems to be so hard to find, like you're going to have to turn the reefer off because this is for library materials. When I say that, I will get deeper into the contract and show you. We already talked about when the RFP is available. You need to submit in a sealed envelope 2 hard copies. Any proposal to the RFP may be withdrawn. No vendor may withdraw their proposal within 45 to 60 days after opening. So once you put your numbers in, they have to stick. All right. Now, request for proposal. Here is what they are asking for. Pay attention. Mid-Hudson Library System background. They're telling you about the background and the history of their agency. It's a library with a mission of ensuring that all residents in the area have seamless access to excellent library service. All right, they operate 65 libraries, 3 branches, and 5 correctional facilities in these counties: Columbia, Dutchess, Greene, Putnam, and Ulster counties. So that's where you're going to be moving these shipments from. You got to step out of the box and really look at things and think them through. Okay. Yeah, so that's the background on the library. Now, background information. MHLS requests proposals for delivery. This is what they need help with. This is a solution you're going to provide with your box trucks. Request for proposal for delivery and pickup of library materials. Approximately 3 million items moved per year. When I see that, all I hear is cha-ching. All I hear is lick money, but we're not going to focus on that yet. We're going to focus on the solution first, okay? 68 libraries, 68 of their locations, 65 libraries, 3 branches, and 5 correctional facilities. So you're also going to have to deliver to 5 correctional facilities as well. So if you're familiar with delivering to correctional facilities, that is fantastic, and it gives you a 1-up, okay? Materials that will be delivered. These are your commodities that are going in your truck. CDs, DVDs, cassettes. I haven't seen the word cassettes in forever. My dad still calls them cassettes. Oh, why won't it let me copy and paste? Come on, babe. And I won't let, or not copy and paste. It won't let me highlight. CDs, DVDs, cassettes, videotapes, audio visual equipment, computers, and computer-related equipment, library of things, items, printed. These other items may include, but are not limited to, correspondence like posters, newsletters, basically library materials, things you would see in a library. And the vendor provided delivery, pickup, and forward sorting of library materials works in conjunction with the sorting operation. Headquarters conducted by the library. This RFP contains detailed information about the current library delivering service operating through MHLS. It is important to understand the details, including how the delivery service currently tracks requests, how individual library items are identified, how the material moves between libraries, the associated and with labeling and sorting, volume of material, and delivery locations. That is all great information that you want to know. You need to use my bid decision checklist on this RFP to figure out if it is right for you. Okay? seeks detailed proposals that apply library and logistics industry standard practices to enhance the library delivery service. All right, we're going to skip down here. Oh, the contract start date. It starts beginning January 1st, 2026. So that's when the work actually starts. Here's a schedule. The announcement that this bid actually opened was June 30th, which was a few days ago. RFP available June 30th. That's when it decided to come out. The deadline for when you need to get it in is July 30th, but you're going to be a lot smarter in your decision because you're going to send it 5 days ahead of time. RFP opening, that's when they're going to open your hard copy that you sent in. Vendors selected prior to September 5th. So they're going to select an awardee, somebody to give this contract to before September 5th. Approval of vendor, September 12th. And then the contract will be signed by the 22nd, and then the services begin. I don't know why it won't let me highlight. That's driving me crazy. January 1st, 2026. All right, so we're going to look at the scope of work, and this is where it's going to get good, but give me 1 second. My apologies. All right, so this is where it's going to get good. All delivery. Oh my goodness, I lost my mic. I hope y'all can still hear me. Um, all delivery locations to receive shipments that support the library's operations. Pre-sorting is done by at the library for drivers. So in this situation, the driver needs to assist. There's going to have to be some sorting that's done. And the reason why you're using a box truck is because a lot of libraries, they don't have a dock. That's thinking out of the box. Okay? Think about it. When you pull up to a library in reality, have you ever seen a dock? I haven't. A local library, I've never seen a shipping dock. So a box truck will be feasible for this because the driver has to come on and off with a dolly. Okay, so it's easier to utilize a box truck than it is to have a 53-foot dry van pull up to a library for a few boxes. All right, let me read this again. All delivery locations are to receive shipments that support the library's operation. Pre-sorting is done by members from the library for the drivers, and drivers complete forward sorting. So they're going to do the sorting for you. Each stop on the route for same-day delivery containers of library books, DVDs, CDs, videos, computers, and computer-related equipment, and other required levels of staffing. Supervision. Okay, here's what they're seeking. A delivery service vendor to provide Monday through Friday delivery service and is accepting proposals for service number 1 and 2. Service number 1, 5 delivery routes Monday and Tuesday and 4 delivery routes on Wednesday. When I'm reading this, all I can hear is dollar signs because this is money. This is consistent work that you have coming in for 2 years with your box trucks. You did not have to go to the load board to find this. Okay? That is what you need to think. You did not have to go to a load board to find 2 years of consistent work. This basically is a direct shipper contract with the government. You do not have to go face to face and put a proposal in. You can do it on paper and then submit it hard copy. This is a win-win for any box truck company. All right. And that's why I'm so excited to show it to you. You have got to think outside the box. This is consistent work, incoming, incoming money. 65 libraries, 3 branch libraries, 5 correctional facilities. And this is what I love right here. There are 282 stops per week, Monday through Friday, and 11 holidays when there is no delivery. You're covering approximately 3,500 miles per week and over approximately 175K miles per year. That is fantastic. Okay, 282 stops, Monday through Friday. We just gonna pull it up. All right, we're gonna pull it up. 282. Is that what it says? So 282 times 52. 14,000, almost 15,000 shipments a year with this one contract. One contract. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And you can bid on this and you can win. Okay. Even if you're not a box truck company, you can middleman the work. Even if you're a painter or whatever you may be in logistics, you're a dispatcher and you have connections. You're a dispatcher, but you have connections with box trucks. Or you have connections and you can go and you can reach out to a middleman, make a phone call like you see me do live, and ask them if they have enough fleet to do this work without you even having to be on site or helping. All you're doing is managing the contract. So don't overthink it, right? Don't overthink any of this, okay? Come back here for 1 second. Okay. Now, this it's here. Did I see here? All right, I'm gonna have to pull it back up. All right, what page? Okay, we were right here. Vendor will deliver, pick up, and forward sort library materials between the headquarters in Poughkeepsie, New York, and to the library members, their branches, and correctional facilities. A list of delivery locations is below, and I'll show you. So the other one is pretty similar. Same situation, just a little bit lesser on the miles. And there's 262 stops per week. And this is for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So let's go down here. Staff separating outgoing lenders. All right, contract duration, 2026 to 2028. That is amazing, right? That is 2 years of consistent work. And then here is the icing on the cake. If you can prove to them that you can do this for 2 years, you have 2 additional options for a 1-year renewal period, which means you can extend this project up to 4 years. If they want to continue to work with you, you can go in, resubmit your pricing, and when you do, you can start to negotiate new rates with this agency. Okay, so you have the option to 2 additional optional 1-year renewal periods by written agreement of the parties, which is you and this agency. Any contract renewals will take place not less than 90 days before the expiration of the current contract. This is a great contract. All right. Oh, wait, we're too. Box trucks. This is so for you. If you own a box truck, you are on the right live tonight. Matter of fact, if you own a box truck, put box truck in the chat. Put box truck in the chat if you own a box truck. All right, basis for award, critical success factors, a high level of efficiencies, including maximizing services and minimizing costs, vendor performance guarantees of effective administrative oversight, ensure timely and accurate delivery of the materials, vendor demonstrates a commitment to environmental stewardship. So these are things that you want to add to your RFP. You can even copy and paste these in ChatGPT and have ChatGPT show you the success factors and put that in the RFP so that you're explaining to them that you understand that these things are important to MHLS. Now they have some goals: provide and execute delivery, pick up and forward, provide containers or vendor, provide on-site driver supervisor to organize and train drivers. So they have some mandatory goals that you have to follow. Now you have to follow these rules. This is the route logistics rules. All materials picked up by drivers must be returned on the same day. So these are same day routes, right? You cannot deliver the next day, or there's something in here that I read that stated that there's going to be a 4.5% fee if things are late. So they're pretty serious about things not being late. The vendor must be able to accommodate scheduled closing at individual libraries within 3 days of notification via email. The vendor must be able to immediately accommodate any emergency closings at an individual location, which is probably based on weather. You have to be adjustable. The vendor must be willing to immediately accept adjustments to delivery and pickup. Once again, I put an RFP together and I showed you it, how it looks on another live video. Look for the thumbnail, how I lost this bid. That's the one you want to look at to show you how to put an RFP together. It says right here, you're going to have to sort. So you're going to have to add a driver assist fee, because there's times when your driver is going to have to get out, help. So you want to add that to your pricing. Vendor drivers will not idle their vehicles while loading and unloading. Vendor drivers will adhere to the New York State Environmental Conservation heavy duty idling laws. Performance: same day delivery on all items on the same route using forward sorting. Okay, so there's same day shipments. All right, so you're going to position yourself in a way where if you want to get home same day, all right, because same day shipments usually are box trucks that are local, you're going to want to get a local company close to Poughkeepsie and these counties because they're same day delivery. All materials delivered in the same condition in which they are received. The vendor drivers will complete a daily stop sheet. Now, the vendor drivers will complete a daily stop statistical sheet, including but not limited to scheduled stops, drivers' names. This is something that you're going to want to see at the end of the day from the box truck company, right? They're going to put a stat sheet, and it's going to have a lot of information telling you the schedule of stops, the driver's names, the date. This is you managing the contract if you're subcontracting the work. Departure times and volume of deliveries. Other performance measures are mutually determined. Okay, you need to read. If you don't want to, have ChatGPT help you, but you have to read the contract. Customer service, driver specs. The vendor will conduct criminal background checks. All of your guys have to have background checks. A good company, box truck company, is not going to see an issue with this because 10 times out of 10, they already have background checks on their employees. Every vendor, employee, or subcontractor. Now, see, the government knows what a subcontractor / middleman is. If you are tired of the recession in trucking, this is the contract for you, okay? It's a consistent amount of work, consistent amount of freight, and there's a profit margin that you can win. There's a high chance that you can win this, 90% chance that you can win this contract, okay? Trucking is in a recession. I'm showing you a live contract right now that is up on the board, that is consistent money and consistent work. Get into government contracting and pivot before it is too late. I get it. We all love trucking. It's a passion. Okay. I didn't want to leave my business behind. These live government contracts were the answer. Every vendor, employee, or subcontractor delivering to a location will display a visible photo identification badge, which clearly identifies the individual as a representative of the vendor. All right, just things you have to pay attention to. Qualifications, vendor information, a description of the vendors. The vendor must be established firm recognized for its capacity to perform. So that this agency wants to know that you perform work like this in the past. You're not a one shipment, two shipment box truck company. You're a box truck company that can handle a large amount of stops, a large amount of pickups. You have on the bigger side of fleet. You don't just own 1 to 2 box trucks. In this situation, it really doesn't matter because you do not have to be a box truck owner to bid on this. But I targeted the box trucks because trucking is in a recession. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to move and make a pivot on something that will set you up for success. Okay, and that is through GovCon. Vendor information, insurance requirements. Now, if you're middlemaning this work, right, I reach out to a box truck company. I say, hey, I have this work in Poughkeepsie. It's this many stops. Let's discuss it. I have to ask them if they have these insurance requirements. Okay, because I can't bid on the contract. You can't bid on the contract without any of this. Whatever they're requesting, you need to provide. You have to have workers' comp. Whoa. Workers' compensation is one of them. Liability insurance, bodily injury, liability insurance, property damage, automobile and truck cargo insurance. So you want to, when you're talking to the subcontractor, you're going to say, hey, what kind of insurance do you currently have that is active? If you don't want to ask them that, you can also ask them for something called a COI, which is a certificate of insurance. And that certificate of insurance will give you a lot of information on what kind of insurance they have and how they are covered. Cost proposal requirements. The vendor must submit as attachment to a cost proposal, including the following. So they ask for a lump sum, weekly invoice amount, an explanation. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. Going over a live contract and showing you what the government is asking for in this agency, it doesn't get any better than this. I showed you where to find it. New York State Contract Reporter, how to position yourself. I'm teaching you how to understand the contract, what to look for that tells you it's the right opportunity. All right. This is my strategy for owning the bag without having the fleet. And if you do own the fleet, you have an upper hand. Okay. We're going to go through this whole contract, like whole thing. Okay. Proposal response. Sealed proposal and hard copy must be submitted in duplicate to their business office. They also, this is more like a checklist right here. Signed copy of attachment 1, 2, and 3. All inquiries, written or verbal, shall be directed to Tom Finnegan, Delivery Operations Manager, or Chris Heron. Violations of this provision by vendor or interested parties may result in rejection of the proposal. So these are things that they're asking for, more like a checklist. Evaluation of the proposal. So this is a big part right here. Evaluation of proposal. When the contracting officer gets your proposal in the mail, they rip open your envelope and they start to look for what you're offering. This is what they're going to look for. You need to think about this. The contracting officer is going to look at the proposals are going to be evaluated by one or more vendors may be selected to make a presentation in person. Award shall be made in the best interest of Mid-Hudson Library System. They're looking for the best interest. What is the best interest for the library and the correctional facilities delivery-wise? Okay. Although no weighted value is assigned, consideration may focus towards, but it's not limited to cost. They're going to look at adequacy of completeness of the proposal. If you're missing things, you're not going to win. Vendors' understanding of the project. That is what RFPs call for. They need to know that you understand, and ChatGPT can help you with that. Compliance with the terms and conditions of the RFP. Experience. Have you provided similar work before? If you're middlemaning the work, guess what? You want to find a company that has some kind of reference sheet that can explain to you that they have done this type of work in the past, this scope, this large amount, because 200, what was it, 262? I think it was 262 shipments a week is not small work. Okay. You don't want to put a 1 to 5 shipment a week box truck company or a 10 fleet box truck company on something like this, because the work is big. They're going to look at the methodology to accomplish the task, vendor's ability to provide the services required, vendor's qualification, and references. So they want references. And whenever the government asks for references, please believe that they're going to call them. So don't make anything up. Answers to questions posed during the in-person presentation. Reserves the right to accept or reject any proposal or part of a proposal. This is the terms and conditions. So right here, the evaluation, this is how you're going to build your RFP. Okay. You're going to pay attention to all of these things because this is what they're going to look at. You're also going to do your market research as well. All right, let's see. Terms and conditions. This is basically the agency's rule book. When I say agency, I'm speaking of the library, MHLS. Successful vendor, which means the person they award will be required to enter into a written contract. Like, do you see how easy this is? Like, are you catching on to how easy this contract is for box trucks? It is not as hard as people make it seem. You know, don't let fear stop you from fantastic opportunities. They tell you when it's going to open. And then if you have, like, if you need clarification or additional information, you can reach out to the DOM, Tom Finnegan, and I'm pretty sure he will be extremely helpful. Now, these are all the delivery locations. And I love this because this is the money, right? This is the bag coming in. This is everywhere that you're going to be delivering to. Look at the list. Okay, you have a lot of deliveries, a lot of money that's coming in. So let's look at one of these, all right? Because hold on a second. 103 Market Street. Let's just pick one. Arlington branch. Will it let me copy and paste? It's acting goofy. No. All right. Branch. What is it? It's 141 Boardman Road. We're going to take a look at how far away this is. So all right, 103 Market Street, New York. All right, 103 Market Street. Okay, 141 Boardman Road. All right, let's pull it up on Google Maps because I want to see how far. All right, 103 Marketplace. Why did it not? All right, let me look it up on myself. I want to know. I'm interested to know how long these are because it said same day. Let me take a look really quick. All right, be patient with me because I'm going to look up the how far it is. All right, 141. Oh, let me. All right, let's look at the pickups because here it is. Okay, let's look at the. We're looking at delivery locations right now, but what I want to look at is the pickup locations because I know all of it's not picking up from. Okay, these are the delivery routes. For service one, Monday through Friday, total stops is 282. That's fantastic. That's a lot. That's a good amount of work. Begin between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. End by 1 p.m. 15 stops for the day. Yeah, so you want to have a company that knows what they're doing here. 13 stops, 15, 12, 12. You don't want to deal with some half-stepping company. These are all the routes for each day. Tuesday. I mean, look at all of this on the board. Once you sign this contract, you're locked in for 2 years. Like, this is a fantastic opportunity in the government space as well as transportation. This is Wednesday's delivery schedule. This is Thursday, Friday. All right, daily number of stops per location. So when you are in Arlington Boardman, you're going to stop twice on Monday, once on Tuesday, once Wednesday. So they give you the whole schedule that you need. Now, one thing I'm not seeing, a question that I would ask is where are we picking up from? Because I don't think that you're picking up from the location. I don't think you're picking up from the location which was stated above. So that's one question I would ask. So this is service number 2, weekly stops is 262. So a lot of these documents are the schedule of where you're going to be delivering. This is this is great. Like, when you're this is a lot of drivers, they don't want to get out of their truck and talk to shippers directly face to face. That's why government contracting works. You have the opportunity for work to go onto the board, you to open a file, look at the um, solicitation, look at the work, and then bid on it. You never had to get out of your truck. You never had to go to a face-to-face interview. You barely had to email anyone. The work is right here in front of you. The government pays. They have a budget set aside just to pay you. You get paid on this on a weekly invoice. It does not get any better than that. The master class that I'm teaching is coming out June 24th. You want to be a part of this master class. Okay, the link is currently being prepared, but what I teach is a strategy of how to win government contracts. Excuse me, even if you don't want to get out of trucking. And it's very exciting. It's an opportunity, July 24th, that you do not want to miss with this masterclass. So if you're frustrated with the recession and you're looking to bid on government contracts, reach out to me. I will have a link up pretty soon. And also tag a truck driver. If you know anybody who's a box truck driver, definitely tag them. So these are all their, excuse me, non-member libraries, which I think are the correctional facilities. Daily number of stops per location. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you too, because I was looking at this a little bit. If service failure, penalty schedule, and vendor communication requirements. This is why you don't want to deal with a half-stepping company. You want to deal with somebody who knows what they're doing, because I know that late deliveries happen. I know trucks break down. You have to understand. That's why it's good for someone in transportation to bid on this, because you know everything that comes with transportation. If you're a company and you're going to middleman the work, subcontractors teach you a lot, but you have to understand that things happen because you're going to be fined if a delivery is late, right? Service failure penalty schedule. This service failure penalty schedule will be instituted if the vendor fails to meet the requirements of the agreement and vendor has not provided the library with an appropriate action step that would reduce the likelihood of reoccurrence failure, which means if you're late. If you're not updating them, there's going to be a fee. The vendor will be sent service failure notices within 2 business days of failure, which means your truck never showed up, you weren't in contact, you weren't updating, you weren't following up. They're not playing that. Each penalty will be deducted from the vendor's next invoice. 4.5% of the weekly contracted amount, you do not want that, because the bigger amount of money that you're making, the more 4.5% matters. Each additional service failure for the same offense will increase at a rate of 0.5%. So you don't want that. You want to do your best not to be late. Plus, you have this contract for 2 years, right? Murphy's Law is like anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But you really want to heavily avoid any kind of late situations. Another thing, the more on time you are, the better, because you have a renewal option of 2 years. They're not going to renew a bid if they see that you have been late 100 times out of, if you're late at all. There's things that they're going to look at when the renewal option comes. So you don't want to be late. Service failures include, but are not limited to, vendor not adhering to delivery schedule as specified. That means you're late. You didn't follow the schedule. Not supplying adequate driver substitution, and not communicating in a timely manner. All right. So that's why this is good for someone in transportation, because you know all of this. I don't know if I'm losing my mind or I smell fire. Somebody must have a fire going outside. I think, but these are the 3 things, service failures, that you want to stay away from 100%, because they're going to charge you 4.5% and that money's coming out of your invoice. So as a transportation company, there's things that you know to look for. Determines the offense for which service failure notice was issued has been resolved and is satisfied with the action steps provided. Okay? You do not want to be late on those shipments. Vendor communication requirements. Required to actively communicate with this agency, meeting expected response times based on the level of a service issue. A response is defined as conforming receipt of a contact, that the vendor is aware of the reported service issue and on the progress toward a solution. If expected response times are not met 3 times within a 5-day delivery schedule, level 1 communication, level 2, level 3. They're breaking down the level of communication. You need to be on top of things. If a truck broke down, if you're going to be late, if you missed the delivery, if the library is closed, there's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to here. Security issue at the library. So you need to be in strong communication. If you're in transportation, you understand that. Once again, if you're going to middleman the project and you don't know anything about transportation, that's okay. But you need to read this contract and talk to the box truck company that you're working with, because sometimes not all transportation companies understand this kind of jargon. Like, we know the weather is going to be bad. You might have to add additional time to a shipment in Buffalo, New York in November and December, because you have to look at, you have to factor in weather. It's not the best weather when you're in Buffalo, New York in November and December. The vendor, oh, this is more information, must submit the following information for the corporation, and any subcontractor information not provided on this sheet should be stapled attached to this sheet. So you have to sign, you have to print your company name. They're looking for a wet signature, and what that means is that you're using ink, because these are hard copies and you're mailing them in through the postal service. So they want ink on this. They don't want an electronic signature. Provided on this sheet should be stapled and attached. So you have to provide A through F and staple it. A corporate profile describing the company's most recent available annual report. They look at the annual report because they want to know how much you have brought in to see if you can really handle this scope of work. Audited financial statement. Financial report acceptable. The company's experiences with route services, carrier services, and related delivery services, including both library or other types of customers. So what I would do is give them my past experience on work that I've done in the past in my logistics company. A minimum of 3 years of experience in providing service of a scope similar to this procurement is preferred. Now, if you're not a trucking company and you're hiring a subcontractor, all the subcontractor box truck company that you hire has to give you all of this information. You do not have to use the 3 years of experience in your company, but the box truck company you hire, they have to give this information. You can use their past performance. Names of key officers and managers, the number of drivers, supervisors, and vehicles, and a minimum of 3 references. You can use the subcontractor's references from a current customer, including address, contact name, email. All that information can come from the sub. You need to print your name. Once again, wet signature with a pen, okay? Not electronic. You're handing in hard copies. Now, what you're going to have to do is whatever tool you're using to look at your pickup and your deliveries and your rate per mile. A lot of us use DAT.com to look for rates, things like that. The lump sum of the annual cost is going to go here, which is your rate per mile times the mileage equals your number. Okay, so let's say one of the moves is from 103 Market Street to 141 Boardman Road. That's library to library is, I don't know, let's just say 100 miles. When you look up your tool that you're using as a transportation company, or the subcontractor gives you a number, you're going to add a margin onto that, right? So 100 miles, this is just for one shipment. These numbers are not real. They don't exist. They're just made up. So 100 miles on that one shipment, let's just say you're charging $2 a mile, okay? 100 miles times $2 a mile equals, no. All right, let's look at it this way. 100 times all right, we'll look at 125 miles times $2.50. Okay. That's $312. These are just made up numbers and 50 cents for that one shipment. That's from Poughkeepsie to Boardman Road. These numbers are made up. So 125 miles times $2.50 is $312.50. Now what you can do is you can add, because there's 262 stops on here, and that's weekly. So you would pay your subcontractor the $312.50, right? Or pay your fleet, and then you would add an additional $200. Once again, numbers are made up. So $512. So if you look at 200 times 262 stops, plus there was another 282 stops for the first attachment, that's your profit weekly. If you decide to put $200 on each of those shipments, if you decide to add $200 to each one of those shipments, you would make $52,000 a week. $52,000 a week. Okay? These are things you have to think about. This is a phenomenal contract for box truck companies. Now, 52,000, once again, numbers are made up, times 52 weeks. 52 4 times 52 weeks, 2 million, 2.7 would be your annual cost. This is why I say whatever you're thinking, you need to think bigger. If you're thinking something that's good, think bigger, because government contracting can change your life. It's not small numbers. This is not a micro purchase, okay? This is a very big contract that you can win. You can win this, okay? So lump sum of annual cost of service number one in numbers, and then pay attention because it says in words. So you have to write it out. And then weekly invoice amount would be the 52,400. Weekly invoice amount, you would have to write that in words as well. Following information is required and may be provided on this sheet. You need to staple and attach it. A lot of the times, I electronically hand in bids. I will go down to the county and hand a bid in. I've actually won a bid that I handed in downtown at the county, but I don't do it often. Usually everything I do is electronic. So tag a box truck driver, tag a driver, period, because a lot of drivers and brokers and dispatchers have connections with box trucks, and y'all need to see this. Okay? Y'all need to see this. If you are already a small business owner, you need to bid on this contract, especially if you're a box truck owner. If you hit this, you are on like Donkey Kong. The following information is required and stapled. An explanation of how the lump sum cost. Now, imagine just bringing in $52K per week on a transportation contract, and it's only one. It's only one. Like, imagine doing that 10 times. Like, we're in a recession right now. Trucking companies we're not seeing those kinds of numbers, because it's terrible. It's $1.50. It seems like everything's moving at like $1.50 to $2 a mile, $2.50. Like, when are we ever going to go back to $5-6 a mile? Golly. But just imagine that with one contract. Like, when's the last time you had 52K come in per week in your company? For real. That's a real question. That's a real question. An explanation of changes, additions, an explanation of how fuel adjustment surcharge, and then right here, option for early payment discount means if they pay you earlier, will you give them a discount? Will you give them a 3% discount? And if they pay you net 21, if they pay you 7 days ahead of time, can they get a discount? That's what they're asking for here. Required vendor, your name, signature, name and title. And then, so the first one was 282 stops. The other one was 262 stops. So really, this is like a total of 500 stops per week. And I'm working on a phenomenal contract right now, which is why I'm not bidding on this. And this is live. It's open until July 30th. Lump sum basis, require vendor assurance, that more signatures, and then the acknowledgement. You need to read this whole contract front to back to see if it's for you. Grab my bid decision checklist to see if this is something you would love to bid on, because there's certain things you need to look at in government contracting. You don't want to just bid on anything, throw things, and hope that they get stuck up against the wall. That's a terrible strategy. So I put the bid decision checklist together so that you can really look at certain aspects of a contract that make you wonder if it's really worth it. Make you look at contracts differently, because there's so many, right? There's so many contracts to choose from, and that's a good thing. But you want to target contracts that make sense, that can make money for you. You don't want to waste your time shooting in the dark. Nobody throws darts in the dark, right? You want to throw darts with some kind of guidance with the lights on. You want to have a checklist that you can operate off of. And if you purchase my bid decision checklist, thank you. I appreciate you. And you give me, put a review in the comments on what you think about the bid decision checklist. But for the ones who have purchased it, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I love you. Um, and thank you for that. If I haven't said that yet, thank you for purchasing the checklist that I put together. All right, so this is just all the acknowledgement, more signatures, and then this is the delivery service agreement between Mid Hudson Library System. Yeah, this is your agreement. This is just the contract. But like I said, all of this needs to be read. So billing, materials, packaging, record keeping, vendor requirements and responsibility to perform all the services listed in this agreement, including Appendix A and B, workers' comp, they talk about insurance. So some of it is repeated. They talk about the risk of loss. You need to provide a service representative. Yeah, so the rest of it is just like all of your acknowledgments. Rates. Now, MHLS agrees to pay the vendor as compensation for the service described in this agreement, including Appendix A and B for the weekly rate of boom, boom, from January 1st to December 31st, which will be billed weekly with payment due within 7 days of the invoice. So you're going to get paid weekly on this. It's a government contract. You're going to get paid. You don't have to worry about anybody messing with your money on this contract. Okay, you don't have to worry about a broker going out of business and not paying you. You don't have to worry about a trucking company not paying you or factoring it. You don't have to factor anything. You're getting paid weekly, right? And this is a great contract, all right? But whatever you're thinking on the rate, think bigger, because you want to go higher on the rate than you normally would, because logistics fluctuates, right? The rate's good, the rates are bad, the rates are good. Factor in all of your expenses plus more. There will be no fuel surcharge assessed unless the New York State average price for regular gasoline rises above blank. Your subcontractor will know that. Box truck companies know what all of this means. The fuel adjustment surcharge calculation will be based on the stated weekly fuel cost of blank for every 5 cents per gallon increased above. More that you need to read. Invoices and payments. Vendors will invoice the MHLS weekly and will pay all invoices no later than 7 days. That is fantastic. That's fantastic. Usually, companies have to wait 30 plus days, sometimes more, from the date of the invoice for all services rendered by the vendor under this agreement. That's great. Independent contractor default, performance review. This is so easy. This is such an easy contract to bid on. All notices, demands, requests, approvals, reports, instructions, amendments, and then the law and the venue, and then more signatures, right? Box truck owners, you need to get on this bid, okay? This is a live bid, all right? My strategy for making the bag without owning any fleet, and if you do own fleet, you have the upper hand, right? So I'm going to drop that really quick. Even if you own a box truck company or you don't, you can win this way, right? Now, what I would do if I was middlemaning this work, what I would do is I would Google top box truck companies in Poughkeepsie, New York. That's what I would do. I would look up a company, right, that I could reach out to, work with, and then subcontract them the work. Look at their Google reviews. Like, watch. If I was going to subcontract this company, all right, we're going to share. So we'll go box truck companies in Poughkeepsie, New York. Now we know that the work is out of Poughkeepsie, New York, because that's what the contract stated. So, right? Let's look. What popped up first? All right, carrier source. That's a third party. Ryder, Penske, Old Dominion Freight. Maybe if I spelled that right, is it Poughkeepsie? So you can look in the yellow pages. Oh, this is what I was looking for. What about Hudson River Truck and Trailer? Looks like they have 4.7 stars out of 5. This is a company, a subcontractor that I'm going to hire to do this work. And I'm going to put a margin on top of it. And while I do everything logistically in the background and make a profit, they're going to be making a profit as well. They're going to give you a price and you're going to add your margin. And from there, the work is going to get done and everybody's happy. It's up to you to manage the contract. Okay, you have to stay on top of the subcontractor. U-Haul, Central. Does this company have a website? Hudson River Truck and Trailer. Oh yeah, they do. It looks like they're a dump truck company. Hudson and Gas, Trailer King, Tractor Supply, Hertz Car Rental. These are not box truck companies. What's that? There was a company that was reaching out to me. I forgot what the name of it was. They said they have box trucks in the area. Box trucks. Another place you can look to is DAT, but I'm not going to say DAT because it's not really box truck friendly. So scratch that. So yes. Did I write it down? I did. POU. All right, this one gives you a list of companies in Poughkeepsie. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. All right, so this is a good website. FMS Trucking. They only have one review, but their MC DOT numbers up there. They have a dry van truck. It's general freight. They only have a fleet size of 3. I wouldn't use them. They don't have enough fleet. Not enough equipment. This company only has one. Juju and D LLC, only one. This one is a moving and storage company. This one has not enough insurance. So this is what I would do. I would spend my time researching a subcontractor that I could work with on this project and just, collaborate, have them do the work, put a margin on it. We stay in contact with each other. And then down the line, if I wanted to bid on anything box truck in the Poughkeepsie area, it's a chance for both of us to collaborate again. And I know some very good subcontractors, like very fantastic subcontractors who have did really good work for me, and truck drivers as well. So that's what I would do. I would search it on Google and I would kind of go from there. So if you like what you see here today, like, subscribe, share, comment, tag a truck driver here. Okay, come back, reply, or a hashtag replay. Okay, thank you for each subscriber that's been here. Thank you for everyone who purchased my bid decision checklist. It is very helpful. Okay, don't just bid on anything. All right, use a tool that will help you make a good decision so that when you win the contract, you know that you can fulfill that work. Y'all stay tuned too for the interview that Dr. Kizzy Parks, my mentor, did with me. that I am so excited about. I love you all. Whatever you are thinking that is big, think bigger. If you have questions on this contract as well, please put them in the chat. I am always open to answering questions. Whatever you are thinking that is good, think bigger. Good night.